Hello students, good morning. Welcome back to your English class. And today we will start chapter 3rd, which is Ishwaran the storyteller. And chapter 1 and 2nd we have already done first and second. So today we are going to begin this. First of all, I would like to tell you about the writer R. K. Narayan. I hope that you have heard the name R. K. Narayan, a very famous person. Okay, and you all have watched the Malgudi Days, a book he has written. A new series has been made on it. So Ishwaran the storyteller is written by him. Now we will talk about the chapter. Ishwaran the storyteller tells us that this story is about Ishwaran. The writer has portrayed Ishwaran. He is called a storyteller. The writer has called the storyteller because story, as you know, that storytelling is an art. If I am going to make you listen a story without any gesture, without any expression, then you won't have interest in it. You won't be able to take interest in it. It would be just simple. But when we add gestures, expressions as per dialogues, so it will be interesting. In the same manner, Ishwaran uses special effects. He does voice modulation, uses his body language to make the story realistic so that the listener, okay, and who is the listener here? Mahendra. He gets attracted and captivated in his story. The writer wants to highlight this quality of Ishwaran, that he was so good at telling stories that they appear to be real. His stories were a source of entertainment for Mahendra. Clear? So Ishwaran, the storyteller, is an appropriate title. When we will finish this story, then you will recognize, yes, it the story justify the title. Here we begin the text. The story was narrated to Ganesh by a young man, Mahendra by name. He was a junior supervisor in a firm which offered on hire supervisor at various types of construction sites, factories, bridge, dams, and so on. Mahendra's job was to keep an eye on the activities at work site. He had to keep moving from place to place every now and then, as ordered by his head office. From a coal mining area to a railway bridge construction site. From there, after a few months, to a chemical plant which was coming up somewhere. So, somewhere you are understanding, Mahendra narrated a story and he was telling about the person, and he is a cook. Okay, Mahendra by name. He was a junior supervisor. He worked as a junior supervisor in a company, and company provided junior supervisor to various construction companies on rent. They have to go wherever the company send them. So he got posted at different sites like factories, bridges and dams which were under construction. Mahendra's work was to keep an eye on all the workers at the site. He had to change places often and worked at various places like a coal mine, railway bridge, construction site, and a construction site of a chemical plant. So wherever the company used to send him, he has to go. Next, it is about the uh, writer. He was a bachelor. His needs were simple and he was able to adjust himself to all kinds of odd conditions. Whether it was an equipped circuit house or a makeshift canvas tent in the middle of a stone quarry. But one asset he had was his cook, Ishwaran. What? He was a bachelor. He was unmarried. he didn't have family, so he used to live in temporary quarters, temporary house, which provided by the company or the construction sites. So he adjusts everywhere, whether it is a circuit house and whether it is a camp house, it is a canvas tent, and whatever basic amenities which were not provided. So he didn't need that. He adjust in each and every condition. And as having no family, so he need not many things. Okay. But one asset he was having with him. What was the asset? It was his cook. Okay. And this was the advantage for him. He was accompanied by his cook, Ishwar. Clear? One asset he had was his cook, Ishwaran. The cook was quite attached to Mahendra and followed his uncomplainingly wherever he was posted. He cooked for Mahendra, washed his clothes, chatted away with his master at night. He could weave out endless stories and anecdotes on varied subject. This was the style. This was the style of him. Like wherever he go, the cook followed him. Why he need to follow him? Because he was attached to Mahendra. And as the Mahendra used to live, he did the same. He never complained for anything. I want this or I want this. I can't live in canvas house. I can't live in this tent. No, not at all. What he did with him? He used to cook food for him. He washes his clothes, gave him company by talking to him at night. One special quality of Ishwaran, that he he was good at telling stories. Good at telling stories. And he entertained Mahindra with his stories, which were based on varied different subjects. Para 3, next para. Clear? So till here we come to know that Mahindra and Ishwaran both are living wherever the company has to send them. They used to live there, and the Mahindra used to work as an engineer, and he has to move at construction sites wherever the work is going on and wherever company appoint them to go. Always with him, always accompany his cook without any complaint and adjust in any condition like Mahindra do. Okay, and what was the specialty of Ishwaran is to weave story, endless stories, like, and with to tell it with proper gestures and expressions. Ishwaran also, back to the text, Ishwaran also had an amazing capacity to produce vegetables and cooking ingredients, seemingly out of nowhere. In the middle of a desolate landscape, with no shops visible for miles around, he would miraculously conjure up the most delicious dishes made with fresh vegetable within an hour of arriving at the zinc sheet shelter at the new workplace. Desolate, uninhabited, empty, no residence. Conjure up, together or create with magic. Together or create with magic. Zinc sheet shelter, a temporary place to live with a roof made of metallic sheets. Now, Mahendra tells Ganesh that Ishwaran was a great cook. Whenever they shifted to a new location, he would gather all the vegetables and other ingredients required by him to cook in no time. This was a specialty. What? That he can do anything in cooking. Like he used to gather vegetable and cook food. As they lived at places wherever they used to move, sometimes they were desolate, empty, and even in temporary shelters only with the roof which made of metallic sheets. It seemed as if he would do some magic and gather all ingredients out of nowhere. Out of nowhere ingredients, the items, products, things, spices used for making food. Next paragraph, back to the text. Mahendra would be up early in the morning and leave for work after breakfast, carrying some prepared food with him. Meanwhile, Ishwaran would tidy up the shed, wash the cloth, have a leisurely bath, pouring several buckets of water over his head, muttering a prayer all the while. It would be lunch time by then. After eating, he would read for a while before dozing off. The book was usually some popular Tamil thriller running of hundreds of pages. Its imaginative descriptions and narrative flourishes would hold Ishwaran in thrall. Clear? Muttering, speaking in low voice. Dozing off, falling asleep. Narrative flourishes, detailed descriptions. Enthrall, the state of being in someone's power. Mahindra. Now, Mahindra would wake up early in the morning, get ready, leave for work as he has to go to work. After taking his breakfast. Now, what Ishwaran did? Okay, Ishwaran prepared a lunch that Mahendra used to carry along with him, and when the Mahendra left, Ishwaran would clean their living place, wash Mahendra's clothes, have a nice bath. And he used to take many buckets of water and pour water on his head while muttering, mumbling a prayer all the time. After that, he would eat his lunch, read his favorite book in Tamil language, full of stories, and many pages were there. Ishwaran would get carried away with the details and description given in the books that he read. Then he would go off to sleep. Go off to sleep. Okay. Now, and the book was usually written by Tamil authors. And when he was narrating even the smallest of incident, then he just inspired by the books that he read. Coming back to the text, his own descriptions were greatly influenced by the Tamil authors that he read. When he was narrating even the smallest of incidents, he would try to work in suspense. And a surprise ending into the account. For example, instead of saying that he had come across an uprooted tree on highway, the simple sentence, instead of saying he had come across an uprooted tree on the highway, he would say, with eyebrows suitably arched and hands held out in a dramatic gesture, the road was deserted and I was all alone. Suddenly I spotted something that looked like an enormous bushy beast lying sprawled across the road. I was half inclined to turn and go back. But as I came closer, I saw that it was a fallen tree with its dry branches spread out. Mahendra would stretch himself back in his canvas chair and listen to Ishwaran's tales uncritically, without any critics, without any comment. Arced, curved gestures, a movement of hands for head to indicate something. Deserted, empty. Enormous, huge. His own descriptions were greatly influenced. As Ishwaran read stories with detailed descriptions, he narrated them in the same way because he was influenced by the work written by Tamil authors. Mahendra Reed collects that would narrate even a small incident with a lot of suspense and surprise, which made the story more interesting. Then he gives an example, and he never gives example in a very simple manner. Suppose one has to mention a sentence that he had to come across an uprooted tree on the highway. He add his own expression in that. He would use his facial expressions and bodily gestures to narrate it. He would say that the road was empty and he was all alone, means none was there on a empty road. And it would create suspense in listener's mind. What had happened then? He would say that all of a sudden he saw that a huge beast was lying across the road. The road was deserted, alone. No one was there across the road. As he reached closer, he walked ahead and reached closer. He saw that it was a tree that had fallen and was lying on road. The branches of the tree had spread out and seemed as if it was a beast, huge beast lying on the road. Okay. Mahendra says that this talent of Ishwaran made the simple story very interesting and it captivated him. Although he knew that some of the stories were not true, but the way Mahendra tell the story make so interesting. Not Mahendra tell the story, but the way Ishwaran narrated them tell the story was so interesting that Mahendra would not say anything and listen to him quietly. Not a single sentence, not a single word. He only captivated through the words, facial expression of the Ishwaran and keeps on listening to him. Here, Ishwaran the storyteller, page number 13, we have completed. Now, moving to the next page. From here, now we will begin. The place I come from is famous for timber, wood, that has been processed for commercial process. Okay. Ishwaran would begin. There is a richly wooded forest all around. The logs are hauled onto the lorries by elephant, transported. They are huge, well-fed beasts. Elephant is a big animal, huge. So it called beast. When they turn wild, even the most experienced Mahat is not able to control them. After this prologue, Ishwaran would launch into an elaborate anecdote involving an elephant. So now, when he saw that as the place were forested, richly forested with wood, timber was available there, and log are the big pieces of trees, the whole stem you can say, and it was transported by elephants. And even the most experienced Mahavat in Hindi means the one who control or ride the elephant cannot control them. When the elephant turned wild, he destroyed everything. So it was just out of control. So the Mahavat cannot control the elephant. And he witnessed the same. When he witnessed the same, then he was able and he just launched an elaborate anecdote involving an elephant. elaborate, detailed, prologue, and introductory speech. Okay, so what again I'm going to tell you. Here the Mahendra are recollecting another story told by Ishwaran, and he said that his native village, where they were living in a forest which was full of trees, the huge logs of timber were sold for commercial purpose. The logs were transported onto elephants, onto uh, by the elephants. They were huge elephants. As they become mad, out of control, they would get out of control, and Mahawat would not be able to tame them, to control them. They are not going to listen to anything at that time. At the same time, he took that incident and make an introductory session with the story. Next para. One day a tusker escaped from the timber yard. One day, a tusker escaped from the timber yard and began to roam about, stamping on bushes, tearing up wild creepers, and breaking branches at will. You know, sir, how an elephant behaves when it goes mad. Ishwaran would get so caught up in the excitement of his own story that he would get up from the floor and jumped about, stamping his feet in emulation of the mad elephant. Tusker, an elephant, having tusks. Roam about, move around. Stamping, hitting with force. Emulation, effort to match or surpass a person by imitation or copying. Imitation and copying both are synonyms. So one day a tusker escaped from the timber yard. Clear? Tusker, elephant. One day elephant just escaped from, run away from the timber yard, from that particular place, and began to roam about. Roam about means if he is out of forest, it means he has entered in residual places. So he entered in the outskirt of our town, stamping on bushes, breaking the fences like matchsticks. Okay, and he would continue. He would continue that it steps on the bushes and crushed them, tore the creepers plant and broke branches of trees which came in its way. Ishwaran asked Mahendra whether he knew how a mad elephant behaved. Whether you know, you don't know. In order to make his story more effective, Ishwaran stood up and jumped around the place, hitting his foot on the ground, in order to copy the action of mad elephants, in order to do imitation of mad elephant, in order to create real effect of the story. Okay. The elephant reached the outskirts of our town, breaking the fences down like matchstick. He would continue. It came into the main road and smashed all the stalls selling fruits, mud pots, and cloths. People ran helter skelter in panic. The elephant now entered a school ground where children were playing, breaking through the brick wall. All the boys ran into the classroom and shut the doors tight. Shut the doors tight. How we will do first? Outskirt, outer area. Helter skelter, here and there. Okay. As the elephant reached the outer boundary of their town, it broke the fences. The fences seemed as if they were like matchsticks for the huge elephant. The elephant reached the main road and broke all the stalls selling different things like mud, just a minute, fruits, mud pots, and cloths. The people were taken unaware, and so they ran here and there. Then it broke the wall of a school and entered the ground where the students were playing. Helter skelter in panic. Panic, fear. Panic, sudden fear. Okay. Here we were. Fruits panic. The elephant now entered a school ground where children were playing. Breaking through the brick wall, all the boys ran into the classrooms and shut the door tight. He entered even in the school, and the boys ran and they closed the door. The beast grunted and wandered about, pulling out the football goal post, tearing down the volleyball net, kicking and flattening the drum cap for water, uprooting the shrubs. Meanwhile, all the teachers had climbed up to the terrace of the school building. From there, they helplessly watched the depredations of the elephant. There were not a soul below on the ground. The streets were empty, as if the inhabitants of the entire town had suddenly disappeared. We were here. All the students ran back into their classroom, closed the door. Elephant made loud noises. Loud, grunted, making loud noises, and roam around here and there in the school ground. It broke the goal post of the football ground, tore the net that is used for volleyball court, stepped on the water drum and broke it, tore out many plants. What the teacher did? The teacher had climbed onto the roof of the school building and watched helplessly as the elephant destroyed the school property. There was not even a single person to be seen around. There was not a soul below on the ground, not a single person to be seen around. The streets were empty, as if the inhabitants of the entire town had suddenly disappeared. All the streets of the town were empty. No one was there. And it looks like all the people who scared of the mad elephant. No one was visible there. Okay. So now we will just have a look how much we have done and how much is left. It's still left. So we will take a break and continue in the next video. Just watch this video, revise this, and we will begin it again. We are on page number 14, last paragraph. Okay, bachcho, thank you.